Two sisters walk into a bar in rural Georgia. Sounds like the start of a joke, right? But there's no punchline. Just handcuffs. Just a crowd laughing as two black women are dragged out and thrown into a police car for the crime of existing in the wrong town. The police chief leaned close, his breath reeking of coffee and power. You'll be in that cell until you learn respect. The county judge smiled cold as winter. We've made people like you disappear before. This town has rules. Their own FBI supervisor, voice sharp through the phone. Stand down. Don't make waves. That's an order. 3 days. No lawyer, no phone call, no one coming. But what none of them saw, not the smirking officers, not the confident judge, not even their own bureau, was the quiet resolve in Harper Travers' eyes. The way her hand brushed casually against her jacket, the almost invisible shift in her sister Hale's posture. They thought they were breaking two women who'd made a wrong turn. They had no idea what they'd actually done, and by the time they figured it out, it would be far too late. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from and subscribe, because what happens next will change how you think about power, justice, and what happens when the wrong people underestimate the right ones. This is the story of one night that ended 50 years of silence. Harper Travers took a slow sip of her beer. Across the small table, her sister Hale did the same. The bar was loud country music blaring from speakers, conversations competing with laughter. They'd driven through Millbrook on their way back to Atlanta from a case in Alabama. Just a quick stop, stretch the legs, grab a drink. Remind me why we stopped here again? Hale asked, her voice low. Harper smiled slightly. Because you said you were hungry, and this was the only place with lights on. I said I was hungry. I didn't say I wanted to be the only black people in a bar full of... Careful, Harper interrupted, still smiling. Her eyes, though, were scanning the room, taking in exits, counting potential threats, old habits. 3 men at the bar had been watching them since they walked in. Not the casual glance of curiosity, the hard stare of hostility. One of them, a man with a red face and sweat stains under his arms, nudged his friend and pointed. Hale caught it too. We should go. We haven't finished our drinks. Harper, we have every right to be here. Harper's voice was calm, steady. We're not running because some drunk redneck doesn't like how we look. The red-faced man pushed off from the bar, started walking toward them. His friends followed. Harper set her beer down carefully, positioned her chair so she could stand quickly if needed. Hale mirrored the movement. Hey! The man's voice was loud, slurred. Hey, I'm talking to you. Harper looked up at him. Her face was neutral, professional. Can I help you? Yeah, you can help me. You can tell me what the hell you think you're doing in here. Having a drink, Harper said. Same as everyone else. This ain't your kind of place. Hale leaned forward slightly. Our kind? You know what I mean. The man stepped closer. His breath reeked of whiskey. This is a respectable establishment. We don't want trouble. Then walk away, Harper said quietly. We're not causing any trouble. The hell you're not. Just sitting there acting like you own the place. Sir. Harper's voice cut through his rambling. We paid for our drinks. We're sitting quietly. We're bothering no one. I suggest you return to your friends and let us finish our evening. The man's face flushed deeper red. You suggesting? You don't suggest nothing to me, girl. Behind the bar, the bartender, a white man in his 50s with a thin mustache, watched the confrontation. Made no move to intervene. Hale's jaw tightened. Harper caught the movement, placed a hand on her sister's arm. Stay calm. I think it's time you two left, the drunk man said. He reached out, grabbed the edge of their table. Harper stood, slowly. She was tall, 5'9", and the movement put her at eye level with the man. Don't touch our table. Or what? or I'll ask the bartender to remove you for harassment." The man laughed. His friends joined in. "Bobby," he called to the bartender. "She wants you to remove me. You hear that?" Bobby the bartender wiped a glass, said nothing. The front door swung open. Red and blue lights strobed through the windows. A patrol car had pulled up outside. 2 officers entered. Officer Derek Bryce, young and eager, his hand resting on his belt. Officer Aaron Mills, older, with the tired eyes of someone who'd seen too much and stopped caring. The drunk man's face split into a grin. "Perfect timing, boys." Harper felt Hale tense beside her. She squeezed her sister's arm once. "Let me handle this." Officer Bryce approached, his eyes moving from the drunk men to Harper and Hale. "What's the problem here?" "These 2 are causing trouble," the red-faced man said immediately. "Came in here, started getting aggressive." "That's not true," Harper said calmly. "We've been sitting here quietly. This gentleman approached us and began harassing." "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to stop talking," Bryce interrupted. Harper blinked. "Excuse me?" "I said stop talking." Bryce's hand moved to his belt, not his gun, but the cuffs. "Can I see some ID?" "Of course." Harper reached slowly for her jacket pocket. "Hands where I can see them." Harper froze. Her hands came up, palms out. "My ID is in my jacket." I'm reaching for my wallet. Nice and slow. "Mills, watch her," Bryce said. Officer Mills moved around the table, positioning himself behind Hale. His hand was on his weapon now. The bar had gone quiet. Everyone watching. Harper extracted her driver's license with 2 fingers. Held it out. Bryce snatched it from her hand. Examined it for a long moment. "This address current?" "Yes." "What are you doing in Millbrook?" "Passing through." "We stopped for dinner." "Uh-huh." Bryce handed the license to Mills. "What about her?" Hale reached for her own wallet. Mills grabbed her wrist. "I didn't say you could move," Mills said. "You asked for my ID," Hale said, her voice tight. "I asked him." "Not you." Mills tightened his grip. "You got a problem with authority?" Harper's heart rate increased. She forced her breathing to stay steady. "Officer, we're happy to provide identification. But there's no need for physical contact. My sister was simply, 'Ma'am, if you keep talking, I'm going to assume you're interfering with police business.'" Bryce stepped closer. "Is that what you want? To interfere?" "No, sir." "Then shut up and let us do our job." Mills released Hale's wrist. "Stand up. Both of you." Harper and Hale stood, slowly, carefully, hands visible, hands. "You live in Atlanta?" Bryce asked, still examining Harper's license. "Yes. Long way from home." "Not that far, 2 hours." "What do you do in Atlanta?" Harper hesitated. "I work for the federal government." "Federal government." Bryce exchanged a look with Mills. "Doing what?" "I'm a special agent with the FBI." The bar erupted in laughter. The drunk man slapped the table. "FBI. She said FBI exclamation mark." Bryce smiled, not friendly, mocking. "Is that right? You're FBI?" "Yes, sir." "You got a badge?" "I do." "Let me see it." Harper reached slowly into her jacket, withdrew the leather credential case, flipped it open. Her badge glinted under the dim bar lights. Gold. Official. FBI Special Agent embossed above her photo. Bryce took the credentials, studied them. His smile widened. "Where'd you get this?" "Amazon?" "That's an official FBI credential," Harper said. Her voice was calm but firm. "You can verify it by calling—" "I can verify it's a fake," Bryce said. He snapped the case shut, pocketed it. You're under arrest for impersonating a federal officer." "What?" Hale stepped forward. "That's ridiculous. Call the FBI field office in Atlanta. They'll confirm." "Ma'am, put your hands behind your back. We're FBI agents." Hale's voice rose. "This is illegal detention." Mills moved fast, grabbed Hale's arm, twisted it behind her back. Hale gasped. "Hey!" Harper moved instinctively toward her sister. Bryce intercepted her. "Hands behind your back, now!" "Officer, you're making a mistake. If you'll just—" "I said now!" They were pushed toward the door. The crowd parted. Some people filmed on their phones. Others laughed. The drunk man called out, "That's right! Lock 'em up!" Outside, the cool night air hit Harper's face. The parking lot was lit by a single flickering streetlight. Bryce shoved her toward the patrol car. "Face down, on the ground. Officer Bryce, I'm asking you to reconsider." "I'm not asking." Bryce kicked the back of Harper's knee. Not hard enough to injure, but hard enough to buckle her leg. She went down on the asphalt, felt the grit press into her palms. Beside her, Mills forced Hale down the same way. "Hands behind your back." Harper complied. The metal cuffs clicked around her wrists. Tight. Too tight. She felt the circulation restrict. A phone camera pointed down at her face. The drunk man from the bar, filming, laughing. "Smile for the internet, sweetheart." Harper looked directly into the lens, her face calm, her eyes cold. "Remember this," she thought. "Remember this moment, because you're going to see it again." The patrol car smelled like old coffee and body odor. Harper and Hale sat in the back cage, separated by a metal grate from the front seat. Neither spoke. Bryce drove. Mills rode shotgun, occasionally glancing back at them. "You really FBI?" Mills asked after a while. His tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Yes," Harper said. Mills chuckled. "Sure you are." The Millbrook Police Department was a low brick building off Main Street. Small town, small station. Bryce pulled into the back lot, killed the engine. "End of the line, ladies." They were walked through a side door, down a hallway with flickering fluorescent lights, the buzz of electricity overhead, the smell of industrial cleaner and sweat. A holding cell at the end of the hall, 4 walls, 1 metal bench, a toilet in the corner. "Enjoy your stay," Bryce said as he unlocked Harper's cuffs, pushed her inside. Hale followed. The door slammed. Lock engaged with a heavy clunk. They were alone. Hale rubbed her wrists. "Harper, they took our credentials, our phones. They're not going to let us make a call." Harper sat on the metal bench. It was cold through her jeans. She leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "I know. We need to contact Atlanta. Let them know." "We will." "When? How? They're not going to just—" "Hale." Harper looked at her sister. "Take a breath. We're going to be okay. They arrested us for being FBI agents. Do you understand how insane that is?" "I understand perfectly." Harper's voice was low, controlled. "And I understand something else, too." "What?" "This isn't the first time they've done this." Hale froze. "What do you mean?" "Did you see the bartender? The way he didn't intervene? The way everyone in that bar watched like this was normal?" Harper leaned back against the cold concrete wall. "This is a system, Hale. Not 2 bad cops. A system." "Then what do we do?" Harper reached up slowly, her movements casual, and touched the button on her jacket. The small LED light underneath, invisible unless you knew where to look, blinked once. Green. Recording. "We document everything," Harper said quietly. "Every word, every action, every violation of our civil rights." Hale understood immediately. She adjusted her belt, the one with the camera built into the buckle. Another blink of green light. "Protocol nightfall?" Hale whispered. Harper nodded once. In the hallway outside, footsteps approached. Heavy boots. The lock disengaged. "Time for processing," Bryce said. He pointed at Harper. "You first." Harper stood, walked toward the door. Her face was calm, but inside her mind was cataloging everything, every detail, every mistake they were making. Because mistakes, she knew, leave trails, and trails become evidence. The interrogation room was exactly what Harper expected. Small, gray walls, a metal table bolted to the floor, 2 chairs, a mirror along one wall, obviously two-way glass, a single fluorescent light overhead, buzzing like an angry insect. Officer Bryce pushed her into one of the chairs. "Sit." Harper sat. Bryce left. The door closed. For 5 minutes, Harper waited. She knew what this was. Intimidation tactic. Let the suspect stew. Let anxiety build. But Harper wasn't anxious. She was observing. The camera in the corner, disabled, she noticed, red light off. The vent near the ceiling, she could hear voices through it, indistinct. The scuff marks on the table, the floor, signs of previous confrontations. How many other people had sat in this chair? How many had left without justice? The door opened again. A man entered, late 50s, thick build running to fat. Gray hair cut military short. His uniform was crisp, badges polished. The name tag read, Chief Raymond Donovan. He didn't sit, just stood there, arms crossed, looking down at Harper like she was something he'd scraped off his boot. "Harper Travers," he said. His voice was deep, with a slow southern drawl. "That's your name, right?" "Yes, Chief." "You know why you're here. Your officers arrested me for impersonating a federal agent, which is false. I am a federal agent." Donovan smiled, not friendly. "See, that's the problem. You keep saying that, but I got your fake badge right here." He pulled Harper's credentials from his pocket, waved them. "This is a crime, Miss Travers." "A serious crime. Those credentials are real. You can verify them with—" "I don't need to verify nothing." Donovan leaned forward, placed both hands on the table. His face was close now. Harper could smell coffee and chewing tobacco on his breath. "You come into my town. You disrespect the people in my town. You resist my officers. And now you're lying to my face." "I haven't lied about anything." "You're lying right now." Donovan's voice dropped lower. "See, I've been police chief in Millbrook for 23 years. 23 years keeping order, keeping things clean. And in all that time, you know what I learned?" Harper said nothing. "I learned that people like you, people who don't belong, they always cause trouble. Always. And the only way to maintain order is to teach lessons." He straightened up. "You understand what I'm saying?" "I understand that you're threatening me, Chief." "Threatening?" Donovan laughed. "No, Miss Travers. I'm educating you. See, in Millbrook, I am the law. Not you, not the FBI, not anybody from outside. Me. And when people forget that, accidents happen. Accidents. Accidents in custody. Falls. Altercations with other detainees. Medical emergencies that take too long to respond to." Donovan walked slowly around the table, circled behind Harper. She forced herself not to turn, not to track his movement. "You're going to be here a while. 48 hours minimum. Maybe longer, depending on what else we find. And 48 hours, a lot can happen." Donovan completed his circle, stood in front of Harper again. "Your sister in the other room? She seems like a hothead. Might not make it through the night without causing more trouble. Might need to be restrained." Harper's jaw tightened, the only sign of emotion she allowed. "There it is?" Donovan said, pleased. You do care about something. Good. That gives us leverage. You're not going to touch my sister. I don't have to touch her. I just have to neglect to watch the other prisoners too carefully. You know how it is. Fights break out, people get hurt. We do our best, but we can't be everywhere. Harper looked up at him. Her eyes were cold. I will remember every word you're saying, Chief. Remember all you want. Donovan leaned down again, his face inches from hers. In this station, your memory doesn't matter. My report is what matters, and my report will say whatever I need it to say. He straightened, walked to the door, paused with his hand on the handle. I've cleaned up this town for 20 years, Miss Travers, kept it the way it's supposed to be, the way my father kept it, and his father before him, and I'm not about to let two uppity— He caught himself, smiled. Two FBI agents ruin that. The door closed behind him. Harper sat in the silence. The fluorescent light buzzed. She reached up casually, touched her jacket button, felt the slight warmth of the microphone underneath, still recording. Donovan had just confessed to 20 years of abuse, threatened violence, admitted to falsifying reports, and he had no idea it was all being captured. Harper allowed herself the smallest smile. Keep talking, she thought. Please keep talking. Donovan returned 10 minutes later. This time, Officer Mills was with him. Mills stood by the door, arms crossed, watching. Okay, Miss Travers. Let's try this again. Donovan dropped Harper's credential case on the table. It landed with a thud. This badge, where'd you really get it? From the FBI. After I graduated from Quantico. Quantico. Donovan's smile was patronizing. You expect me to believe you went to Quantico? I graduated top 15% of my class, 2019. You can verify. You keep saying I can verify. But I don't need to verify nothing. I know a fake when I see one. Donovan picked up the credentials, examined them with exaggerated care. Pretty good quality, I'll give you that. The hologram looks almost real. But see, I've seen FBI badges before. Real ones. And this? He tossed it back on the table. This ain't it. Harper's voice remained level. Chief Donovan, impersonating an officer is a federal crime. If I were actually doing that, why would I be so insistent that you verify my credentials? Why wouldn't I just confess and minimize the charges? Because you're committed to the lie. That's what criminals do. Or because I'm telling the truth. Mills shifted by the door. Chief, her story does seem pretty consistent. Donovan shot him a look. You questioning me, Mills? No, sir. Just saying. Then don't say nothing. Donovan turned back to Harper. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to book you for impersonating a federal officer. That's a felony. We're also going to charge you with resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, and whatever else I can think of. Your bail hearing won't be until Monday. That's 3 days from now, and between now and then, you'll be a guest of Millbrook PD. I have the right to make a phone call. Sure you do. We'll get to that. Eventually. Donovan picked up the credential case again. This is evidence now. Property of Millbrook PD. Same with your phone, your wallet, everything else we took off you. That's illegal seizure without what? Without your permission? Donovan laughed. Miss Travers, you're under arrest. We can seize whatever we want as evidence. And we will. I want to speak to my attorney, Harper said. No attorneys until Monday. That violates my Sixth Amendment right to counsel. Your Sixth Amendment right applies to trial. We ain't at trial yet. Donovan was enjoying this now. See, I know the law, too. Probably better than you, since you're not really FBI. I want to make my phone call. Phone's broken. Sorry. Harper's eyes narrowed. All your phones are broken? The one in the booking area is. Weird how that happens. Donovan stood. Tell you what. You think about your situation tonight. Think about how much easier this could be if you just admit what you did. Come Monday, you confess to the judge, maybe we can work something out. Reduce the charges. Get you back to Atlanta. And if I don't confess to a crime I didn't commit, then you'll learn what it means to fight the law in Millbrook. Donovan headed for the door. Mills, take her back to holding. And Mills? Yes, Chief. Make sure she understands how things work around here. Mills nodded, opened the door. Let's go. Harper stood slowly. The credential case still sat on the table. Her badge, her identity, her proof. Donovan picked it up again, slipped it into his pocket. You'll get this back when we're done with our investigation, he said. Should only take a few weeks, maybe months. The door closed behind Harper as Mills led her down the hallway. Behind them, through the thin walls, she heard Donovan laugh. But what Donovan didn't know was that the camera on Hale's belt buckle, the one she'd activated in the cell, had night vision. And when they'd brought Hale in for her own interrogation, which was happening right now in the room next door, that camera was recording everything. Every denial of rights, every illegal threat, every violation. The anti-twist wasn't that their real identities were rejected. The anti-twist was that the rejection itself was evidence. Back in holding, Harper found Hale already there. Her sister's face was tight with controlled fury. They tried the same thing with you? Harper asked quietly. Called me a liar, took my credentials, refused to let me call anyone. Hale's voice was barely above a whisper. Harper, this is systematic civil rights violation. We could... Shh. Harper glanced at the cell door. No one visible, but voices carried in places like this. She moved closer to Hale, kept her voice low. Stay calm. Let them think they're winning. They are winning. We're locked up. No phone. No way to contact Atlanta. We have ways. Before Hale could respond, the cell door opened again. Officer Bryce stood there with a desk phone in his hand, old model, cord stretching back down the hallway. You get one call, Bryce said. He set the phone on the bench. Make it quick. Harper picked up the receiver, started to dial the Atlanta field office. From down the hallway, a voice boomed, Hold on there! Chief Donovan approached, another man beside him. This new man was tall, thin, in his 60s. He wore an expensive suit despite the late hour. His hair was silver, perfectly combed. Everything about him screamed power and money. Sorry, Miss Travers, Donovan said. Phone's malfunctioning again. Technical difficulties. Bryce took the phone back. This is Judge Harold Merrick, Donovan continued, gesturing to the man in the suit. County Judge. He wanted to meet you personally. Judge Merrick studied Harper and Hale with cold, assessing eyes. So you're the two causing trouble in my town. We're not causing trouble, Your Honor, Harper said. We're the ones being unlawfully detained. Unlawfully? Merrick's eyebrows rose. You've been arrested for impersonating federal officers. That's a serious charge. We are federal officers. So you say. But Chief Donovan tells me your badges are fake. Your story doesn't check out. And you've been belligerent and uncooperative. Hale stepped forward. That's not true. We've been completely cooperative despite multiple civil rights violations. Young lady, I suggest you watch your tone. You're in enough trouble without adding contempt charges. Contempt charges? We haven't even been to court. Yet. Merrick turned to Donovan. Chief, my recommendation is to hold them for the full 48 hours while you complete your investigation. No bail, no phone calls. We need to verify every detail of their story. No phone calls? Harper's voice sharpened. That's a violation of... The law is what I say it is in my courtroom, Miss Travers. Merrick's voice was ice. And in Millbrook, my courtroom is the only one that matters. Donovan pulled out his cell phone, pressed a button. The phone on speaker. Your Honor, just to make sure we're on the same page, Donovan said, his tone casual, almost friendly. You're saying hold them 48 hours minimum? At least. Possibly longer if new evidence emerges. Merrick's voice carried easily in the small space. We need to protect our community. Can't have people impersonating federal agents causing disruptions. And no contact with outside counsel during that time? Correct. We need time to verify their identities first. For all we know, they could be con artists, identity thieves. We can't let them coordinate with accomplices. Harper felt a chill. This wasn't improvisation. This was rehearsed. Chief, Merrick continued, how many times have we had to deal with this kind of situation? Oh, I'd say... Donovan paused, pretending to think. Maybe 30 times over the years? 40. And how many times did it turn out the person was actually who they claimed to be? Never, Your Honor. Not once. It was a lie. Harper knew it was a lie, but it didn't matter, because this was their system, their town, their rules. There you have it, Merrick said. Precedent. We're simply following established procedure. What about our Sixth Amendment rights? Hale demanded. Our right to counsel? Applies at trial, not during investigative detention, Merrick replied smoothly. You'd know that if you were actually FBI. Donovan grinned. Should we tell them about the paperwork, Your Honor? Might as well. Merrick checked his watch. I have dinner plans. We've already filed the initial charges with the county clerk, Donovan explained. By morning, there'll be an official record. Arrest report, witness statements, everything documented, everything legal. Harper understood immediately. They were creating a paper trail, a false narrative, one that would stand up in their local court because they controlled the court. Judge Merrick, Harper said, forcing her voice to stay level, I'm asking you, as an officer of the law, to contact the FBI Atlanta field office. Just one phone call. They'll verify our identities in minutes. I'm not calling anyone at this hour. The FBI can wait until Monday morning. Merrick adjusted his cufflinks. Chief, I trust you'll keep me updated if anything changes? Absolutely, Your Honor. Good. Oh, and Chief, make sure their stay is educational. Sometimes people need to learn where they stand in the world. Donovan's smile widened. We'll take good care of them. Merrick walked away, his expensive shoes clicking on the concrete floor. Donovan lingered a moment longer. You heard the judge. 48 hours. No calls, no lawyers, just you, me, and a whole lot of time to think about your choices. The cell door slammed shut. Harper sat on the bench. Hale joined her. They've done this before, Hale whispered. 30 or 40 times, he said. I know. Harper, how many other people have they... I know. Harper's hand moved to her jacket again. Casual, natural, checking the mic, still recording. Every word Merrick said, every instruction Donovan gave, every admission of systemic abuse. All captured, all evidence. We're not the first victims, Harper said quietly, but we're going to be the last. 3 hours later, midnight. The station was quieter now, fewer voices, just the buzz of fluorescent lights and the occasional footstep in distant hallways. Harper and Hale sat on opposite ends of the metal bench, backs against the cold concrete wall. To anyone watching, they looked defeated, exhausted, exactly what Donovan wanted to see. But Harper's mind was racing. You remember Protocol Nightfall? She asked softly. Hale didn't look at her, kept her eyes forward, her posture slumped. The emergency extraction procedure for agents under hostile custody. Exactly. Harper shifted slightly, adjusting her jacket. The movement looked natural, casual, but her fingers found the small button beneath her lapel, pressed it twice. A sequence, confirmation signal. You activated it? Hale's voice was barely audible. 6 hours ago, when we were first detained. Harper's hand dropped to her lap. If we don't check in within 24 hours, the signal automatically transmits our GPS coordinates to Atlanta, along with the recordings. They took our phones. They took our phones. They didn't take these. Harper touched her jacket again. Bureau-issue surveillance equipment. Looks like a jacket button. Radio frequency that can't be jammed by standard cell phone blockers. And it's been recording everything since we walked into that bar. Hale's eyes widened slightly, but she maintained her defeated posture. Everything? Every word, every threat, Donovan's confession, Merrick's instructions, all of it. Harper allowed herself a small, grim smile. Your belt? Camera still active. Battery's good for another 48 hours. Then we have coverage. Audio and visual, multiple angles. A pause. Then Hale asked, "Do you think it'll be enough?" "It'll have to be." Footsteps approached. Harper and Hale immediately stopped talking, returned to their defeated postures. But the footsteps passed their cell, continued to the office at the end of the hall. Through the thin walls, voices carried clearly. "Donovan, everything filed?" A woman's voice, unfamiliar. "All charges logged into the system, Chief." "Arrest reports completed. I backdated the witness statements like you asked." "Good. What about the physical evidence?" "Their credentials are in the evidence locker. Phones, wallets, car keys all secured. Make sure the phones stay locked. I don't want anyone accessing them." "Already done. Passwords disabled. No one's getting into those devices." Donovan laughed. "Perfect. By Monday morning, this'll all be official record. 2 con artists arrested for impersonation. Open and shut." "Chief, what if they really are FBI?" A pause. When Donovan spoke again, his voice was harder. "Doesn't matter, Linda. By the time anyone figures that out, if anyone figures it out, we'll have documentation showing they were uncooperative, violent, resistant. We'll have justification for everything we did. Standard procedure. That's how this works. Like the others. Exactly like the others. You've been doing this long enough. You know the drill." Linda, apparently the administrative clerk, hesitated. "How many has it been now, Chief?" "Does it matter?" Sometimes I wonder if..." "Don't wonder. Do your job. This town stays clean because we keep it clean. Because we don't let outsiders come in here and think they can disrespect our way of life. You understand?" "Yes, Chief." "Good. Now go home. Get some sleep. Monday's going to be busy." Footsteps. A door closing. Then quiet. Harper met Hale's eyes across the cell. Her sister's expression was grim. "They have someone in administration," Hale whispered. "Creating false records. Which means there's a paper trail. Digital and physical." Harper's mind was already working through the implications. If we can get to those records, prove they've been falsifying documents. That's federal charges, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and civil rights violations. Systematic deprivation of constitutional rights under color of law. Harper's voice was cold now. "Professional. Title 18, U.S. Code, Section 242, up to 10 years federal prison per violation. Multiply that by 30 or 40 cases. They're looking at life." The fluorescent light buzzed overhead. In the distance, a phone rang. No one answered. Harper reached up one more time, checked her device, still recording, still transmitting data in encrypted bursts to the satellite relay that would eventually reach Atlanta. Somewhere out there, her colleagues were already receiving fragments of evidence, already beginning to understand what was happening in Millbrook. But it wouldn't be fast enough. The system moved slowly. Bureaucracy, warrants, chains of command. They needed another angle. They needed someone local, someone who'd already been a victim, someone willing to testify. Harper thought of Donovan's words, 30 or 40 times over the years. 30 or 40 other people who'd been through this. One of them had to be willing to fight back. Morning light filtered through the high window of the cell. Harper hadn't slept. Neither had Hale. They'd spent the night in silence, listening to the sounds of the station, learning its rhythms. At 7 a.m., Chief Donovan appeared. He looked fresh, rested, coffee cup in hand. "Morning, ladies. Sleep well?" Neither Harper nor Hale responded. Strong, silent types. I respect that. Donovan took a sip of coffee. "I got some news. Judge Merrick wants a status update, so I'm going to need you two to sit tight while I make a call." He pulled out his cell phone, set it on a small table outside the cell, just visible through the bars. Then he dialed, put it on speaker. 3 rings. Then, "Merrick." "Your Honor, it's Chief Donovan, calling about our guests." "Ah, yes, the impersonators. Any issues overnight?" "Quiet as church mice. They're starting to understand how things work." Merrick chuckled. "Good. That's what I like to hear. What's your assessment?" Donovan glanced at Harper and Hale. His expression was smug. "I think we've got another clean sweep here, Your Honor. 2 more troublemakers who thought they could come into Millbrook and cause problems, but we shut that down real quick." "How many does that make now?" "I've lost count." "Oh, over the last 20 years? I'd say we've handled maybe 40 situations like this, maybe 50. You remember that family back in 2015? Tried to open a restaurant on Main Street? The Johnsons. Yes, they claimed harassment. Harassment. Donovan laughed. They were the ones harassing us with their complaints. But we took care of it. Filed charges. Made the process expensive. They left town within a month. And that couple from Birmingham? The ones who tried to buy the old Presbyterian church? Gone within a week. Once they understood they weren't welcome, they made the smart choice. Merrick's voice carried satisfaction. "That's what I appreciate about you, Chief. You keep Millbrook the way it's supposed to be. Clean, safe, traditional." "That's the job, Your Honor. Protect and serve our community, not their community. Ours." "Exactly. And these two? What's your timeline?" "I'll hold them until Monday morning. Present them to you with a full case file. Witness statements from the bar. Evidence of the fake credentials. Resisting arrest. The works." "Will they fight it?" "They might try. But once they see how the system works here, most people just plead out and leave. Saves everyone time." "And if they don't?" Donovan's voice hardened. "Then we make it expensive. Make it painful. Make it clear that fighting the law in Millbrook is a losing proposition. We've got all the cards, Your Honor. The court, the records, the witnesses. They've got nothing." "Perfect. Keep me updated. And Chief?" "Yes?" "Make sure they understand the cost of defiance. Some people need hard lessons. They'll learn, Your Honor. One way or another, they all learn." Merrick ended the call. Donovan picked up his phone, but before he could leave, it rang again. Different caller. "Yeah?" Donovan answered. Not on speaker this time, but in the quiet morning, his voice carried. Harper strained to hear. "What do you mean, paperwork issue?" "No, I told you to file it under the standard code. Yes, the same one we used for the others. Check the ledger in my office. Top drawer. Password is my badge number. It's all there. Every case for the last 15 years. Who we detained, what charges, how much they paid to make it go away. Don't lose that, Linda. That's our insurance." Donovan walked away, his voice fading. Harper's heart raced. A ledger. Physical documentation of every case, every victim, every payoff. That wasn't just evidence of their case. That was evidence of a criminal enterprise. Hale's eyes met hers. Her sister had heard it too. "A ledger," Hale breathed. "He's keeping a ledger." In his office. Top drawer. We need to get that. We will. Harper's mind was already working through possibilities. But first, we need someone on the outside. Someone who can verify what we're saying. Someone they can't silence. Who? Harper thought of Donovan's words. 40 situations like this over 20 years. 40 victims. At least one of them had to still be in the area. Still angry. Still waiting for justice. We need to find the Johnsons, Harper said. Or that couple from Birmingham. Or anyone else who's been through this. How? We're locked in a cell. We won't be forever. And when we get out, we're going to turn this entire system inside out. Harper looked at the small LED light beneath her jacket button. Still recording. Still transmitting. Donovan had just confessed to decades of civil rights violations, systematic abuse, conspiracy. All of it captured on federal recording equipment, all of it admissible in court. Keep talking, Harper whispered, too quiet for anyone but Hale to hear. Please keep talking. Noon. Saturday. 27 hours since their arrest. Officer Bryce appeared at the cell door. In his hand, Harper's FBI-issued phone. The screen was cracked. Whether from rough handling or intentional damage, Harper couldn't tell. You got a call, Bryce said. Your people in Atlanta. They tracked your phone somehow. Chief says you can answer it. 1 minute. Supervised. He handed the phone through the bars. Harper took it. The screen showed an incoming call. S.A.C. Jenkins, her supervisor, special agent in charge of the Atlanta field office. Harper answered. This is Agent Travers. Travers. S.A.C. Jenkins's voice was clipped, professional, cold. Where are you? Millbrook, Georgia. My sister and I are being illegally detained by the local police department. We need immediate... I'm aware of the situation. The Millbrook PD contacted us this morning. Claimed you were impersonating federal agents. Sir, that's false. We are federal agents. We've been... I know who you are, Travers. I'm looking at your file right now. A pause. What I want to know is why you're causing an incident in a local jurisdiction without authorization. Harper's stomach dropped. Sir, we're not causing an incident. We stopped for dinner and were racially profiled, illegally arrested. That's your version. I've got Chief Donovan on record saying you were belligerent, confrontational, and refused to comply with lawful orders. That's a lie. Sir, they've violated our constitutional rights. They've threatened us. They have a systematic pattern of abuse targeting people of color. Travers, stop! Jenkins's voice was hard now. Listen to me very carefully. You are not on assignment in Millbrook. You have no operational authority there. This is a local matter. A local matter? Sir, they've falsely imprisoned 2 federal agents. They've detained 2 individuals who claim to be federal agents and are investigating those claims. That's their right. Harper couldn't believe what she was hearing. Sir, are you ordering us to not pursue this? I'm ordering you to stand down. When they release you on Monday, you drive back to Atlanta. You file a report with Internal Affairs. We handle this through proper channels, quietly, diplomatically. Diplomatically? Sir, they've been doing this for 20 years. Which is why we don't need you making it worse by turning this into a federal incident. Jenkins's voice rose. Do you understand what kind of media nightmare this creates? FBI agents arrested in a small southern town? The optics alone. The optics? Harper's voice shook with barely controlled anger. Sir, with all due respect, this isn't about optics. This is about systematic civil rights violations. This is about politics, Travers. And politics requires discretion. You will stand down. You will cooperate with local authorities. You will not escalate this situation. That is a direct order. Silence. Do you understand, Agent Travers? Harper's jaw clenched. Yes, sir. Good. I'll expect you back in Atlanta by Tuesday morning. We'll discuss your judgment in this matter then. The call ended. Bryce took the phone back. Sounds like your boss isn't too happy with you." Harper didn't respond. She sat back down on the bench, her mind reeling. Hale moved closer. "What did he say?" "He ordered us to stand down. Said we're making a political problem worse." "Stand down?" "Harper, they've committed multiple felonies." "I know. We have evidence. Recordings. We have everything we need to—" "He doesn't care." Harper's voice was hollow. "He cares about the Bureau's reputation, about not making waves with local law enforcement, about keeping things quiet." Hale stared at her. "So what do we do?" Harper was quiet for a long moment, thinking, processing. SAC Jenkins had just abandoned them, had chosen politics over justice, had ordered them to let this corruption continue. She thought of Donovan's words. 30 or 40 victims over 20 years. She thought of every person who'd sat in this cell before them, every person who'd been threatened, abused, driven out of town, every person who'd never gotten justice because the system protected itself. Harper looked up at her sister. "We don't stand down," she said quietly. "We finish this." "Even if it costs us our careers?" "Even if." Hale nodded slowly. "Okay. Then we need a plan. A real one. Because if Atlanta won't help us, we're on our own." Harper allowed herself a small, grim smile. "Not entirely. We still have our recordings. We still have Protocol Nightfall. And we're about to have something else." "What?" "Allies. People who've been waiting 20 years for someone to fight back." Sunday morning. Harper and Hale had been in custody for 48 hours. A new face appeared outside their cell. A black woman in her 70s, elegant despite her age. She wore a crisp pantsuit and carried herself with the bearing of someone who'd spent decades in positions of authority. Officer Mills stood beside her, looking uncomfortable. "You got 15 minutes, he told the woman. "And I'm watching." "That's fine, officer." Her voice was cultured, careful. She waited until Mills stepped back a few paces, then addressed Harper and Hale through the bars. "My name is Lorraine Watts. I'm a retired county judge." Harper stood. "Judge Watts." "Not judge anymore. Haven't been for 15 years. Watts glanced at Mills, then back to Harper. "I heard about your situation. Word travels fast in small towns." "Why are you here?" Hale asked. "Because 30 years ago I sat where you're sitting now." Different cell, same station, same chief of police, though back then Raymond Donovan was just a sergeant. But the same system. Harper's pulse quickened. "You were detained here?" "For 3 days. My crime was trying to integrate a neighborhood. Moved my family into a house on Oak Street, nice house, good price. But it was the wrong side of town, if you understand me. Within a week I was arrested for disturbing the peace. They held me until my husband paid a fine and agreed we'd move out." "That's extortion," Hale said. "That's Millbrook." Watts's voice was bitter. "I was a lawyer then. Thought I could fight it. But Donovan's father was chief of police back then, and Harold Merrick was a young DA. They controlled everything. The courts, the records, the system. So I paid the fine, moved out, and spent the next 10 years quietly working my way up. Eventually became a judge in the county system, not here in Millbrook, but close enough." "Why didn't you report them?" Harper asked. "I tried. Filed complaints with the state attorney general. No one cared. It was my word against theirs, and they had documentation showing I was the aggressor. Fake documentation, but documentation nonetheless." Watts leaned closer to the bars. "But that was before body cameras. Before smartphones, before audio recordings were admissible in every court." Harper understood immediately. "You know we're recording." Watts smiled slightly. "I suspected. FBI wouldn't send agents into a hostile jurisdiction without surveillance equipment, and I suspect you've been collecting evidence since the moment you were detained. We have, audio and visual, but our supervisor ordered us to stand down. Typical. The system protects itself. But you're not going to stand down, are you? No, ma'am. Good. Because I have something you need. Watts reached into her purse. Mills started forward, but she held up a hand. Just papers, officer. Nothing dangerous. She pulled out a manila folder, slid it through the bars. Harper opened it. Inside, photocopies of old documents, court filings, property records, arrest reports. That's 15 years of cases, Watts said. Every person I could track down who'd been through Millbrook's system. Names, dates, charges. Some of them settled, some left town. But all of them have stories like yours. Hale looked through the documents. This is dozens of cases. 43 to be exact. That I could find. I suspect there are more. Watts's expression was grim. I've been collecting these for years, waiting for the right moment, the right case, the right person who could actually do something about it. Why now? Harper asked. Why us? Because you're FBI. Because you have resources. Because you won't be scared off like everyone else was. Watts glanced at Mills again, then lowered her voice. And because I'm dying. Cancer. 6 months, maybe 8. I don't have time to wait anymore. Harper felt a surge of emotion, respect, solidarity. Judge Watts, if we pursue this, they'll come after you. Let them. I have nothing left to lose, and I have copies of everything in safe deposit boxes. 3 different banks. If anything happens to me, it all goes public. You'd testify? Under oath? In a heartbeat. I'll testify about my case, about the patterns I've observed, about how this system operates. Watts straightened. But you need more than testimony. You need hard evidence, documentation, the kind of evidence that can't be dismissed or explained away. Harper thought of Donovan's ledger, the one in his office, top drawer. We're working on that, Harper said carefully. Watts smiled. I thought you might be. Listen carefully. There's a reporter at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Her name is Keisha Monroe. She's been investigating corruption in rural Georgia counties. I've been feeding her information for 2 years. If you can get her evidence, real evidence, she'll run with it. Front page, national attention. How do we contact her? When you get out of here, call this number. Watts pushed a business card through the bars. Tell her Lorraine sent you. She'll know what it means. Mills checked his watch. Time's up. Watts nodded, turned to leave, then paused. Agent Travers, this system has been operating for half a century. Longer, probably. It won't go down easy. Are you prepared for that? Harper met her eyes. Yes, ma'am. Good. Because when you take down Donovan and Merrick, you're not just taking down 2 men. You're taking down an entire way of life, and people will fight to protect it. Let them fight, Hale said. We have the law on our side. Watts laughed sad, knowing. The law is what they say it is, dear. Until you prove otherwise. She walked away, her footsteps echoing down the hallway. Harper looked down at the documents in her hands. 43 cases, 43 victims, 43 people waiting for justice. We're going to need that ledger, Hale said quietly. I know. And we're going to need to get it before they release us tomorrow. Because once we're out, they'll lock everything down. Harper thought about the layout of the station, the office at the end of the hall, the top drawer of Donovan's desk. Then we'd better start planning, she said. Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Officer Bryce appeared at the cell again. This time he looked nervous. Phone call for you, he said to Harper. Some woman named Monroe. Says she's a reporter. Chief says you can take it, but I'm monitoring. Harper took the phone. Keisha Monroe. That was fast. Watts must have contacted her immediately after leaving the station. This is Agent Travers. Agent Travers, this is Keisha Monroe with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I understand you're being held in Millbrook. Can you comment on... Ms. Monroe, I can't discuss an ongoing situation while in custody. I understand. But I've spoken with Judge Lorraine Watts. She indicated you might have information relevant to a story I've been developing about systematic civil rights abuses in... The phone went dead. Harper looked at the screen. Call ended. Bryce took the phone back. Oops. Bad connection. That wasn't a bad connection. You ended the call. Did I? Bryce smiled. Guess I hit the wrong button. He walked away. Harper sat back down, frustrated but not surprised. Of course they wouldn't let her talk to a reporter. Of course they'd intercept. But the call had been made. Monroe knew about them now. The story was starting to leak, and that meant Donovan would know too. 20 minutes later, shouting erupted from down the hallway. Donovan's voice, furious. I told you to monitor calls, not let them talk to the goddamn media. Chief, I ended it as soon as I realized. You ended it after she'd already identified herself as a reporter. Do you understand what that means? Harper moved closer to the cell door, straining to hear. Get Linda on the phone. Now, we need to accelerate the timeline. Footsteps. A door slamming. Then, faintly, Donovan's voice again. Linda, it's me. We have a problem. Yes, the 2 FBI agents. Someone contacted the Atlanta paper. I don't know how, but we need to move faster. I want their paperwork completed tonight. All of it. Backdated to Friday night. I don't care if it's Sunday. Get in here and do it. And Linda, that folder I gave you yesterday, the one about the other cases, I need you to move it. Now. No, not the office. Too obvious. Take it home. Lock it in your safe. Just do it. Another pause. Then, Mills, get in here. Officer Mills appeared from somewhere, hurried past the cell. Yes, Chief? I need you to make a house call. Lorraine Watts. She's been running her mouth. Harper's blood ran cold. What do you want me to do? Mills asked. I want you to have a conversation with her. Remind her what happens when people don't mind their own business. And while you're there, see if she's got any documents, files, anything that might cause us problems. Confiscate it. Chief, I can't just break into her house. You're not breaking in. You're conducting a welfare check. Concerned citizen called saying an elderly woman might be in distress. You're just doing your job, Officer Mills. And if you happen to see evidence of criminal activity while you're there, well, you're obligated to secure that evidence. Right? A pause. Then Mills. Right, Chief. Good. Take Bryce with you. And Mills, be persuasive. Footsteps fading. A door closing. Harper turned to Hale. Her sister's face was pale. They're going after Watts, Hale whispered. They're going to destroy her evidence. And intimidate her so she won't testify. Harper's mind raced. They needed to warn her. But how? They had no phone, no way to contact anyone. Wait. Protocol nightfall. The emergency signal had been transmitting for over 48 hours now, which meant Atlanta had been receiving data packets, audio, video, GPS coordinates for 2 days. The automated system would have flagged it as a priority. Even if SAC Jenkins had ordered them to stand down, someone in the Atlanta office would be monitoring the signal. Someone would have heard Donovan's threat. But would they act on it in time? 20 minutes later, Linda arrived. Harper heard her voice. I came as fast as I could, Chief. Good. I need full documentation on the Travers sisters, arrest reports, witness statements, medical examinations showing they were uncooperative and had to be restrained. But they weren't restrained. They were resistant. That's close enough. Document it. Donovan's voice was cold. I also need an addendum to the witness statements from the bar. Add that they were verbally abusive, threatened patrons, created a public disturbance. Chief, the original statements don't say any of that. Then revise them. Make it clear these two were the aggressors. We were just responding to a dangerous situation. If anyone checks the timestamps, no one's going to check anything, Linda. By the time the FBI gets around to reviewing this case, we'll have a complete paper trail showing we acted appropriately. They'll see two agents who went rogue, caused trouble in a small town, and then tried to use their badges to avoid consequences. A pause. You've been doing this for 12 years. Why are you hesitating now? I'm not hesitating. It's just, they are actual FBI agents. What if nothing? The FBI doesn't care about two agents who embarrassed the Bureau. Trust me. Their own supervisor already told them to stand down. Linda was quiet for a moment. Then, okay, I'll have everything ready by morning. Good. And Linda, after this is over, we're going to need to be more careful. Maybe take a break from these operations for a while. Let things cool down. You're worried. I'm being prudent. We've had a good run, 20+ years. But maybe it's time to pull back, at least until this blows over. Harper listened, her heart pounding. They were panicking. Good. Panicked people made mistakes. But they were also dangerous. And right now, Judge Watts was in danger. Midnight. The station was mostly dark. Only emergency lights and a few desk lamps. Harper heard a phone ring. Donovan answered. Yeah? What do you mean she's not there? You checked everywhere? God damn it. She must have known we were coming. Did you find any documents? Nothing? All right, get back here. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Donovan hung up, slammed his hand on his desk. Harper allowed herself a moment of relief. Watts had escaped. Or hidden. Either way, she wasn't in custody. But it also meant she was on the run. Alone. Elderly. Sick. Harper thought of the business card Watts had given her. The reporter. Monroe. If Watts could get to Monroe, if she could deliver those documents directly to the press, then it wouldn't matter what Donovan did to the evidence here. The story would be public. But they needed more. They needed the ledger. They needed Donovan's own records to corroborate Watts's documents, and they needed to get it before they were released tomorrow morning, because once they walked out of this station, they'd never get another chance. Harper looked at Hale. Her sister was thinking the same thing. Harper could see it in her eyes. We need a distraction, Hale whispered. Something that gets them to open this cell door. Medical emergency, Harper said immediately. You start showing symptoms. Chest pain, difficulty breathing. They'll have to take you to the hospital. And while they're focused on me, I get to Donovan's office. Get the ledger. Harper's mind was working through the logistics, the station layout, the positions of the cameras, most of which she'd noticed were disabled or fake. The number of officers on duty, minimal during night shift. It was risky. If they were caught, Donovan would have justification for additional charges. Resisting arrest, attempted escape, assault even. But if they succeeded, they'd have everything they needed to take down the entire system. How's your acting? Harper asked. Hale smiled grimly. About to find out. She stood up, walked to the middle of the cell, and then she gasped, a horrible choking sound. Her hand went to her chest. She staggered, fell to her knees. Hale! Harper shouted. Hale! What's wrong? Hale collapsed on the floor, convulsing. Harper ran to the cell door, gripped the bars. Help! Someone help! My sister's having a seizure! Footsteps running. Officer Bryce appeared, fumbling with his keys. What happened? I don't know, she just collapsed. She needs medical attention. Bryce unlocked the cell door, rushed inside, knelt beside Hale. And Harper moved. Harper slipped out of the cell while Bryce was focused on Hale. She moved quickly down the hallway, keeping to the shadows. The night shift was minimal, maybe 2 officers total. Most of the station was dark. Donovan's office was at the end of the hall. The door was closed but not locked. Harper pushed it open slowly. The hinges creaked. Inside, a cluttered desk, filing cabinets, framed commendations on the walls. She moved to the desk. Top drawer, locked. Harper pulled a bobby pin from her hair. Standard FBI training included basic lockpicking. She worked the mechanism. 30 seconds. Click. The drawer slid open. Inside, a leather-bound ledger. Thick. Heavy. Harper lifted it out, opened it. Pages and pages of handwritten entries. Dates, names, charges, amounts paid. Some entries went back 30 years. This was it. The evidence they needed. Behind her, a voice. "Looking for something?" Harper spun around. Chief Donovan stood in the doorway, Officer Mills beside him. Both had their hands on their weapons. "That's theft," Donovan said calmly. "Breaking and entering a police chief's office, stealing evidence. That's felony charges right there." Harper held the ledger. "This isn't evidence. This is a record of your crimes. My word against yours." Donovan stepped into the office. "And right now, you're the one caught breaking into my desk. Mills, take her." Mills moved forward. Harper backed up, but there was nowhere to go. Mills grabbed her arm, twisted it behind her back. The ledger fell to the floor. "Secure that," Donovan ordered. He picked up the ledger, tucked it under his arm. "Change of plans, Agent Travers. You and your sister are going to have an accident." Harper's stomach dropped. An accident. Tragic, really. 2 prisoners tried to escape, assaulted an officer. In the confusion, there was a struggle. Injuries were sustained. Donovan's voice was cold. By the time backup arrived, it was too late. "You're going to kill us. I'm going to protect my town." Big difference. Donovan nodded to Mills. "Get the sister. Bring them both to my car." Back entrance. 20 minutes later, Harper and Hale were in the back of Donovan's personal SUV. An old Chevy Tahoe, dark blue, civilian plates. Mills drove. Donovan sat in the passenger seat, the ledger on his lap. They drove east, away from downtown Millbrook. The roads became dirt. The trees thickened. No streetlights. No houses. Just darkness, and the occasional animal eyes reflecting in the headlights. "Where are we going?" Hale asked. Her voice was steady, but Harper could hear the fear underneath. "Place we use for training exercises," Donovan said. "Out in the national forest. Good for target practice, tactical scenarios, that kind of thing." "Bodies," Harper said flatly. Donovan glanced back at her. "Now why would you say something like that?" "Because this is where you brought the others. The ones who didn't leave town quietly." A pause. Then Donovan smiled. "You're smart. I'll give you that. But not smart enough." The SUV turned off the dirt road onto something that barely qualified as a trail. Branches scraped the sides. The vehicle bounced over roots and rocks. After 5 minutes, Mills stopped. Killed the engine. "We walk from here," Donovan said. They were pulled out of the SUV. The forest was pitch black except for the flashlights Mills and Donovan carried. The smell of pine and damp earth. Somewhere in the distance, an owl hooted. They walked for 10 minutes, deeper into the forest. Harper's mind raced, calculating. 2 of them. 2 armed officers. Poor odds. But if they could create separation, if Hale could take Mills while Harper went for Donovan... "Far enough," Donovan said. They were in a small clearing. The flashlight beams illuminated a bare patch of ground. Disturbed earth, old digging. Harper felt cold. How many? How many what? How many people have you buried here? Donovan considered. None of your business. But let's just say you two won't be the first FBI agents to disappear in Georgia. Remember those two civil rights workers back in the 60s? Still haven't found all those bodies. He was trying to frighten them, break them psychologically before the physical threat. But Harper wasn't broken. She was calculating. Her jacket mic was still recording, still transmitting. Protocol Nightfall had been active for over 50 hours now. Atlanta would have received GPS coordinates. They would know Harper and Hale had been moved from the station to this location. But would they respond in time? Chief Donovan, Harper said clearly, projecting her voice for the microphone. You're admitting to multiple murders, to burying bodies in this location, to systematic abuse of power resulting in deaths. Do you understand that's what you're confessing to? Donovan laughed. Confessing? Agent Travers, there's no one here but us. No cameras, no witnesses, no evidence, just forest. He pulled his service weapon, and in about 5 minutes, just forest and 2 shallow graves. Mills pulled his weapon too. Chief, are we really doing this? You got a problem, Mills. They're federal agents. This is different than... It's not different. It's the same. They came here. They disrespected us. They tried to destroy what we've built. We're protecting our way of life. By murdering people, Hale said. By eliminating threats. Donovan aimed his weapon at Harper. Last words. Harper looked at him. Her face was calm. You already lost, Chief. Is that right? Everything you've said for the last 3 days has been recorded, audio and video. It's already been transmitted to FBI headquarters. By the time you pull that trigger, agents will be on their way. And even if you kill us, the evidence will bury you. Donovan's confidence wavered, just for a second. You're bluffing. Am I? Harper touched her jacket button. The LED blinked green. See that light? That's an active transmission. Protocol Nightfall. Emergency extraction for agents in hostile custody. It's been broadcasting our location every 30 minutes since Friday night. Mills lowered his weapon slightly. Chief, if she's telling the truth, she's not. But what if she is? Donovan's face twisted with rage. He stepped forward, pressed the gun to Harper's forehead. Then I guess we better make this quick. In the distance, faint at first, then growing louder, the sound of helicopter rotors. Donovan froze. The sound grew closer. A searchlight swept through the trees. FBI! This is the FBI! Drop your weapons! The clearing suddenly flooded with light. The helicopter hovered overhead, its rotor wash whipping through the trees. The voice boomed through a loudspeaker. Chief Raymond Donovan! Officer Derek Mills, you are surrounded! Drop your weapons and put your hands behind your heads! Donovan spun, looking for escape routes, but flashlights appeared in the trees. Figures in FBI tactical gear emerged from the darkness. At least 8 agents, weapons drawn. Drop the gun, Chief, Harper said quietly. It's over. Donovan's hand trembled. The gun was still pressed to Harper's forehead. Put it down, Chief, one of the FBI agents called out. Harper recognized the voice agent Marcus Webb, tactical team leader from Atlanta. There's no way out. They're lying, Donovan said, but his voice was shaky now. They're the criminals. I was just... We have everything, Harper said calmly. Every threat, every illegal detention. Your conversation with Judge Merrick, your instructions to falsify records, the ledger in your vehicle with 30 years of extortion and abuse, all recorded, all transmitted, all evidence. Mills' weapon clattered to the ground. He raised his hands. I surrender. I'll cooperate. I'll testify. Mills, you son of a... Harper moved. Fast. Her FBI hand-to-hand combat training took over. She ducked under Donovan's gun arm, twisted her body, drove her elbow into his solar plexus. Donovan gasped, doubled over. The gun fell. Harper kicked it away, then swept Donovan's legs. He crashed to the ground. 3 seconds. That's all it took. Harper planted her knee in Donovan's back, wrenched his arms behind him. Chief Raymond Donovan, you're under arrest for kidnapping, attempted murder of federal officers, conspiracy to deprive civil rights under color of law, and about 40 other charges we'll add as we review the evidence. Agent Webb approached with zip-tie cuffs. I'll take it from here, Travers. Harper stood, breathing hard. Webb secured Donovan, read him his rights. Other agents moved in, secured Mills, searched the area. Hale appeared beside Harper. You okay? Better than okay. Harper looked down at Donovan, now face down in the dirt, the complete reversal. The man who'd stood over them, threatened them, was now the one in custody. How's that feel, Chief? Being on this side of the cuffs? Donovan said nothing, just glared. Agent Travers. Webb handed her a tablet. You're going to want to see this. The tablet showed a live stream. The Millbrook City Council chambers, packed with people. News cameras. The title on the screen, Emergency Public Hearing, Civil Rights Violations. Judge Lorraine Watts stood at the podium. She looked tired but determined. Behind her on a large screen, photographs, documents, audio waveforms. And for 15 years I collected evidence, Watts was saying. 43 cases of illegal detention, systematic targeting of people of color, extortion, violence, all coordinated by Chief Donovan and enabled by Judge Merrick. The camera panned across the audience. Harper saw Keisha Monroe, the reporter, taking notes. She saw community members, black and white, watching with shock and anger. She saw members of the city council, some looking genuinely surprised, others looking sick with guilt. Tonight, I'm presenting this evidence publicly because the system has failed to act privately. I've filed complaints with the state attorney general. Nothing. I've contacted the FBI. Nothing. Until now. Watts gestured to the screen. These recordings were made over the last 72 hours by FBI Special Agents Harper and Hale Travers. They were illegally detained, threatened, and nearly murdered. But they documented everything. The screen changed. Audio began playing. Donovan's voice. I've been police chief in Millbrook for 23 years. 23 years keeping order, keeping things clean. Then Merrick's voice. How many does that make now? I've lost count. Donovan again. Over the last 20 years, I'd say we've handled maybe 40 situations like this, maybe 50. The audience erupted. Shouts, gasps. Some people stood, calling for arrests. Watts raised her hand for silence. There's more. The audio continued. Donovan threatening violence. Merrick ordering illegal detention. The confession about the ledger. The conversation about falsifying records. Every word, every admission. Playing for the entire town to hear. Harper watched the screen, satisfaction flooding through her. This was it. The public exposure. The moment when everything they'd endured became worth it. The FBI is at this moment arresting Chief Donovan and Judge Merrick, Watts continued. Additional arrests will follow, and I'm calling for a complete federal investigation into the Millbrook Police Department and county court system. The crowd erupted again, this time in applause. Back in the forest, Agent Webb was photographing the ledger page by page. This is incredible, he said. Travers, this documents 3 decades of systematic abuse. Names, dates, amounts extorted. It's a complete record. Make sure you get everything, Harper said. Every page. And secure the chain of custody. I want this airtight. Already done. Forensic accountants are standing by. We'll cross-reference every entry with bank records, court documents, witness testimony. Another agent approached. We found the burial site. At least 3 bodies, maybe more. Ground-penetrating radar is incoming. Harper felt sick. 3 people. Murdered and buried here. How many families had spent years wondering what happened to their loved ones? ID the bodies, she said. Contact next of kin. They deserve answers. Agent Travers. Webb handed her a phone. Atlanta wants to talk to you. Harper took it. This is Travers. Agent Travers, this is Director Chen, not S.A.C. Jenkins, the actual director of the FBI Atlanta Division. I want to apologize. S.A.C. Jenkins made a serious error in judgment ordering you to stand down. His actions will be reviewed. Thank you, sir. I also want to commend you and Agent Hale Travers for your courage and professionalism under extraordinary circumstances. You upheld the highest standards of the Bureau. Harper looked at her sister. Hale was talking with another agent, giving her statement, exhausted but standing tall. We were just doing our job, sir. You did more than your job. You brought down a criminal organization that's operated for half a century. You gave justice to dozens of victims, and you demonstrated that no one is above the law. A pause. The Attorney General wants to speak with you personally. So does the governor. This is going to be a major case. Harper watched as Donovan was loaded into a bureau vehicle, his head down, his hands cuffed behind his back, exactly the way he'd cuffed them just 3 days ago. Full circle. I'm ready, sir, Harper said. Whatever you need. Good. Get some rest. We'll debrief in the morning. And Travers? Yes, sir? Welcome back. The call ended. Harper stood in the forest clearing as the FBI technical team processed the scene. The helicopter still overhead, providing light. Agents securing evidence. Justice, finally, being served. Hale joined her. We did it. We did it, Harper confirmed. What happens now? Harper thought about the live stream, the public hearing, the evidence now in federal hands. Now we watch the dominoes fall. Monday morning, 9 a.m. The Millbrook County Courthouse was surrounded by FBI vehicles. News trucks lined the street, reporters everywhere. The small town had never seen anything like this. Judge Harold Merrick arrived for what he thought would be a normal Monday docket. He wore his judicial robes, carried his briefcase, walked with the confidence of a man who'd controlled this courthouse for 30 years. He never made it inside. 6 FBI agents intercepted him on the courthouse steps. Judge Harold Merrick, you're under arrest for conspiracy to deprive civil rights under color of law, obstruction of justice, falsification of official records, and accessory to kidnapping and attempted murder. Merrick's face went white. This is outrageous. I have judicial immunity. Immunity doesn't apply to criminal acts. The lead agent, a woman named Rodriguez, pulled out handcuffs. Hands behind your back. I will not. Sir, I'm not asking. The cameras captured everything. Judge Merrick, in his black robes, being handcuffed on the courthouse steps, the symbol of justice becoming a criminal. He was read his rights, loaded into a bureau vehicle, driven away. The whole town watched. At the same time, Linda Bachman was arrested at her home. The administrative clerk who'd spent 12 years falsifying records, creating false paper trails, enabling every illegal detention. Agents seized her computers, her files, the ledger backup she'd been ordered to hide. She broke immediately. I'll tell you everything, she said, voice shaking. I'll testify. I'll give you names. Just please, my kids. I have 2 kids. Can they stay with my sister while I... That can be arranged, Agent Webb said. But you need to give us everything, every case, every falsified document, every person who was involved. There's 5 officers besides Donovan and Mills. There's 2 county clerks. There's a prosecutor who knew but looked the other way. And there's... She hesitated. Who else? 3 city council members. They took payments in exchange for ignoring complaints. Webb's expression hardened. Names. She gave them. By noon, 11 people were in federal custody. Chief Donovan, Judge Merrick, Officer Mills, Officer Bryce, 3 more officers from the Millbrook PD, Linda Bachman, 2 county clerks, 3 city council members, the entire corrupt system arrested in a single morning. News trucks broadcast live from Millbrook, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. The story was national now. Small-town corruption exposed by FBI agents. Decades of civil rights violations end in mass arrests. How 2 sisters brought down a criminal enterprise. Harper and Hale watched the coverage from the FBI field office in Atlanta. They'd been debriefed all night, given medical evaluations, interviewed by Internal Affairs, by the Attorney General's office, by the media liaison. But now, watching the arrests play out on screen, Harper felt something she hadn't felt in 3 days. Relief. Agent Travers? An assistant stuck her head in the conference room. The Attorney General is ready for you. Harper stood, straightened her jacket a new one, since her old one was evidence now. Hale stood beside her. Together, they walked down the hallway. Behind them on the TV, footage played of Donovan being perp-walked into federal court. His head down, his hands cuffed. The man who'd said, "I am the law," was now subject to it. And there was something deeply, profoundly satisfying about that. Millbrook looked different in the spring. The Rusty Nail had a new owner. A black family from Atlanta who'd bought it and renamed it the New South Cafe. Inside, the walls were painted bright colors. The menu featured both soul food and traditional Southern cooking. And everyone was welcome. Harper and Hale sat at the bar, same seats where they'd been arrested 90 days earlier. But everything else had changed. "Can I get you ladies anything else?" the new owner asked. Her name was Patricia Johnson. Same Johnson family that Donovan had driven out in 2015. They'd returned after the arrests, bought the property at auction. "Just the check," Harper said, "and compliments to the chef. Best fried chicken I've had in years." Patricia smiled. "My grandmother's recipe." Figured it was time to bring it back to Millbrook. Outside, children played in the newly renovated town square. The fountain, broken for 15 years now, worked again. Flowers planted, benches repaired. The town was rebuilding, literally and figuratively. That evening, Harper and Hale attended a community forum at the Millbrook Community Center. 200 people packed the room, black and white, young and old. People who'd lived in Millbrook their whole lives and people who were considering moving back. Judge Lorraine Watts, looking healthier, her cancer treatment showing signs of working, stood at the podium. 3 months ago, this town was controlled by fear, she said. Fear kept us silent. Fear kept us complicit. But 2 women refused to be afraid. And their courage changed everything. Applause. Harper and Hale, sitting in the back, tried to remain inconspicuous. But people turned, nodded, smiled. "The FBI investigation is ongoing," Watts continued, "but we already have results. 45 victims have been identified. Compensation funds have been established. Criminal charges have been filed against 11 individuals. And most importantly, reforms are being implemented." She gestured to a screen showing the new policies: mandatory body cameras for all police, independent review board for complaints, federal oversight for 2 years, new hiring practices emphasizing diversity and accountability. "But this isn't just about punishment," Watts said. "This is about healing. About building a Millbrook where everyone feels safe, feels welcome, feels like they belong." More applause. After the meeting, people approached Harper and Hale, thanked them, shared stories. Some cried. Some just wanted to shake their hands. An elderly black man, probably in his 80s, gripped Harper's hand with both of his. "My son was arrested here in 1994. We never knew why. They said he was drunk and disorderly, but he didn't drink. He spent 3 days in that jail. Came out different, broken. He died 5 years later. never got over what they did to him. Harper felt tears sting her eyes. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry. Be proud. You gave him justice. Even if he's not here to see it, you gave him justice." Harper and Hale drove back to Atlanta as the sun set. The same route they'd taken 3 months earlier, but this time, no stop in Millbrook. Well, one stop. For dinner. At the New South Cafe. But that was different. "You think it'll last?" Hale asked as they merged onto the highway. "The reforms? The changes?" "I think it's a start," Harper said. "Change is slow, generational, but it has to start somewhere. Started with us refusing to shut up. Started with a lot of people refusing to shut up. Watts, the 45 victims who came forward, the reporters who covered it, the federal prosecutors who took the case seriously." Harper glanced at her sister. "We were just the catalyst." They drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then Hale said, "S.A.C. Jenkins got reassigned." "I heard. Some desk job in D.C. effectively ended his career." "Good. He chose politics over justice. That has consequences." Harper nodded. "The system protects itself, but sometimes when enough light gets in, even the system has to change." Her phone buzzed. A text from Agent Webb. "New case. Possible civil rights violations in rural Alabama. Interested?" Harper showed it to Hale. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Hale asked. "That we're probably going to spend our careers dealing with this exact kind of corruption." "Yep." Harper typed back, "Send details." Because that's what they did. That's what they'd keep doing. Shining light into dark places, giving voice to the voiceless, proving that no one was above the law, not police chiefs, not judges, not entire systems of power, no one. The sun was setting behind them as they drove toward Atlanta, the sky streaked orange and purple. Harper thought about everything that had happened, the fear, the anger, the satisfaction of watching Donovan get arrested, the profound relief of watching justice served. But mostly, she thought about the elderly man whose son had been destroyed by Millbrook's system, about the 45 victims who'd finally gotten compensation, about the children playing in the town square, growing up in a different Millbrook than their parents had known. That's what it was all about. Not revenge, not even justice, really. Healing. And if Harper and Hale could help even one more community heal, it would be worth it. "You know what's funny?" Hale said, breaking the silence. "What?" "We just wanted a beer and some chicken wings." Harper laughed, really laughed. "And we ended up taking down a 50-year criminal enterprise. Typical Friday night." They laughed together. The kind of laughter that comes after trauma, after survival, after victory. The highway stretched ahead of them. Atlanta's lights appeared on the horizon. Behind them, Millbrook was changing, slowly, imperfectly, but changing. And somewhere out there in another small town, another corrupt system was operating. But now they knew it could be stopped. It could be exposed. And justice, real justice, could win, if someone was brave enough to fight for it. Harper pressed the accelerator. They had work to do. If this story moved you, if it made you think about justice and accountability, share it. Because the only way corrupt systems change is when enough people refuse to accept them. Subscribe to hear more stories like this. Stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things in the pursuit of justice. And remember, no one is above the law. No one is beneath it. That's not just a saying. That's a promise. A promise that people like Harper and Hale Travers fight every day to keep. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. Because these stories, they're not just entertainment. They're reminders that justice is possible, that courage matters, and that sometimes all it takes is two people refusing to back down.